Rishi Sunak's legislative agenda in limbo. As the United Kingdom approaches the general election, the fate of several crucial pieces of legislation hangs in the balance. Despite Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's promise of a secure and stable future, numerous bills aimed at protecting citizens from terrorism, dangerous cycling, and unjust evictions may not make it to Parliament before the vote. Terrorism prevention and public safety bills, at risk. Sunak's much-anticipated smoking ban faces an uncertain future, leaving his legacy tarnished. The Prime Minister had pledged to ensure the next generation grew up smoke-free, but the Tobacco and Vapes Bill may not pass, undermining his commitment. Similarly, legislation aimed at preventing terror attacks and enhancing public safety is unlikely to be introduced. This includes a bill inspired by Martin Hett, one of the victims of the Manchester bombing. The legislation would have required venues and local authorities to implement training and preventive measures against terrorist threats. Victims' rights and justice reforms, mixed fortunes. The government's Delayed Victims and Prisoners Bill will finally become law, providing compensation for victims of the infected blood scandal. The Post Office Offences Bill will clear the convictions of hundreds of victims of a miscarriage of justice. However, negotiations continue over this bill, potentially including amendments to ban cuckooing, taking over someone's home for criminal purposes, and create a new criminal offense for causing death by careless cycling. The Commons leader has expressed support for these proposals. Renters' rights and leasehold reform, major setbacks. The Conservative government's promise to end no-fault evictions remains unfulfilled. The Renters' Reform Bill, which would have banned fixed-term tenancies and introduced a decent home standard, has been scrapped. Renters' advocates have expressed disappointment, lamenting years of waiting for change. The government's Leasehold Reform Bill, intended to protect homeowners from unfair practices by freeholders, will also not pass before the election. This legislation would have eased the process of extending leases, capped ground rents, and banned leaseholds on new homes in England and Wales. Sports governance and financial implications, missed opportunities. Plans to create an independent regulator for football will not materialize before the election. The legislation was not ready for inclusion in the wash-up process, a period when bills are expedited before an election. The Treasury's plans to sell its remaining stake in NatWest will be postponed due to the lack of time before the election. The Chancellor had announced the sale during the autumn statement, aiming to launch it this summer. Anti-Slapp legislation, discarded. A private member's bill designed to protect journalists and public watchdogs from intimidating lawsuits is likely to be abandoned. The government had backed the Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation, SLAPP's, bill, but it has not yet been amended by the Lords, making it unlikely to pass before the election. Media Bill, safe passage. The Media Bill, which increases protections for UK broadcasters against competition from US streamers, has passed its final stages. It enjoys broad support within the British media industry, thanks to measures such as requiring smart TVs to prominently display British television programming. Peers had opposed a government-backed proposal to end the press regulation framework, preventing it from derailing the bill. Conclusion. Rishi Sunak's promise of a secure and stable future remains in the balance as several crucial pieces of legislation face an uncertain fate. From terrorism prevention to renters' rights and leasehold reform, the upcoming election will determine the fate of these important policy measures.